Howdy.
Hello, Professor.
Hey there.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Cool. Hey, Fawad.
Hello, Professor. How you doing?
I am okay. How are you?
Doing great so far.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm so sorry I did not reply to your message in time, Fawad.
That's fine. That's fine. I know you had some problems. Okay.
It's not fine, but I'll just say I needed to ask forgiveness and say I'm thankful for your patience. And when it's time to look at the essay, believe me, we can look at it as much as you want, Fawad.
It's okay. It's okay, Professor. But I know you had some issues, some personal problems, you know.
Last week was not great, but it's okay. Here we are. It's okay. It's all good. That is life.
Yeah, life is sometimes challenging, hard. We have to struggle, deal with it, you know.
Exactly. And I know for so many of our students at ARC, again, I do not want to complain. I know we are all dealing with things and have stuff that we're worried about or dealing with. So we'll just do the best we can, I suppose.
Yes.
Hey, Mohid. But it's good to see you guys. I just got finished my grammar class. It was really good to see you guys. I always get energy when I get to talk to you guys and see you guys. So,
Likewise.
hey, great. Like that. More people coming in. Hi, you guys.
Hello, Professor. How are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Excellent.
Hello, Professor. Hello, everyone.
Hi there. Nine, you guys. Week 9.
Life is short, goes by.
Halfway. I know. It does go fast. We'll wait until more people come, but I hope you guys had a good experience writing your narrative. I got to work with about 3 or 4 students in the office hours, and I think
Okay.
I hope it was going well for you guys.
It was okay, but you know, for the second learners, the second language, it's kind of hard. Like still, you have to gather information, check, match, you know, do brainstorm. It's like it's kind of not that hard, but once maybe after this class, it will be easier.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it perfect. I mean, when we do things for the first time, it's always slow and can feel difficult. But yes, my goal is that you get practice, you get more confident, and then it feels, feels faster in the future. But I think you're right, Fawad. It's and I say this all the time to other teachers, right? For you guys, you are still learning the language and you are still learning. There's all this content, right? There's all this stuff about writing structure and genre and plot and narrative theme. So it's like I always feel like sometimes all of you are learning like twice as much as some other students, right? Because you're doing both at the same time. It's amazing, and it will help keep your brain healthy and happy longer. I mean, being bilingual is a huge benefit in so many ways. But yeah, when in the moment, it can feel, oh my God, it's so slow. Amina says hi in the chat. Hey, Mina. And I saw Mariana came in and Veronica came in.
Hi, Professor.
Hi there.
Good evening, Professor.
Good evening.
Hi, Mariana. Yeah, so that I agree, Fawad. I totally agree.
In progress.
Arifa, I saw you.
Hi.
Arifa's back. Hey, Arifa. Veronica says hello in the chat. Howdy, howdy. Hey, hey, hey.
It's Christmas already.
It's Christmas already?
It's just so funny. You said hey, 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 like,
Oh, oh, oh.
like, oh.
Christmas in the stores, right? In some stores, I already see some Christmas stuff. Do you guys see it too?
A lot of.
Yes, we do. Halloween.
Crazy. Yeah, but now, again, I just feel like every year it starts sooner and sooner. Like, again, anyway, whatever. Who cares? It's fine. Stop it, Jeff.
In a couple of years, they
Good evening, everyone.
will not hide.
I know,
No.
in June. I know exactly. After 4th of July, it'll just be America's birthday and then Christmas trees for 6 months. Hey, Baran.
Good evening, Professor and my classmate.
Hi.
Hi,
Zosha's here. Hi, Zosha.
thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. I am okay. Like I said, I'm not going to complain. Focus on the good stuff. Last week was not a fun week and I missed you guys, but I'm glad to see you and I'm doing okay today.
I know. Glad to see you again. Thank you.
Yeah. I think I already said this in the grammar class, so forgive me, Arifa, for repeating, but I miss you guys, even though I know usually students are not very sad when the class gets canceled.
I'm not happy.
I know. As the teacher, I am always like, oh no, I have to cancel class. And students are like, no problem. No problem. Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah.
That's better.
I know. But like I said, hopefully a little more time. Like Fawad was saying, sometimes it feels slow to write. So hopefully a little more time to do whatever you needed to do. But even if you got a little more time to write your essay or review or just be with your family, whatever you needed. So we'll start in another minute or two here. Vanessa came in. Hello again. And I already said hi to Zohra.
Hello.
Oh. But yeah, I guess that was my hope that you guys, even though I know it can be difficult, I hope that you had I hope that you enjoyed it a little bit, writing your narrative, and I am excited to read them, especially the 3 or 4 essays that I've already looked at. I'm really excited to read them and read your stories, and then tell you guys how to even learn some more and make improvements and make some changes. So I'm happy. Let's start. Even though we've got a little smaller group, that's pretty normal after a canceled class. Zohra says, hi, everyone, and good evening. Hello, Zohra. So we'll get started for tonight. It is Tuesday, October 19th, week 9. Like I said, we're now more than halfway through the fall semester. And here is the plan for tonight. So I've got a warm up activity. And then after the warm up, we're pretty much going to be done with narrative writing. And we're pretty much done with a map is only one story. This week, I'm going to get you ready for hyper focus. And we're going to talk a little bit more about reading strategies. And we're especially going to start to review and talk about summarizing and paraphrasing, which is something that we just cannot talk about enough when we come to 325, when you continue on to English 300 or English 340, ESLW 340. Paraphrasing and summarizing are like the forever skills, right? They are forever because they are forever useful to you in your college career. So that's what we're sort of introducing today. And then I'll tell you what we've got coming up. First though, oops, I wanted to do this first. I had some students come to office hours and we were talking about next semester, right? Circulem says hi. Hey there, Circulem, good to see you. So I just wanted to make an announcement, right? Students were wondering what's up with the spring semester? What am I teaching? What should I do? What should I take? And I'll add this to the list. So in the spring, I don't know if the campus has announced this or you guys saw it, but most of the classes will be online again. I know, I think for many people at this level, this is not a bad thing. So many people of you have jobs, have families, have children. So it's very convenient to stay online. I also know that the requirement for the vaccine is a big, big deal. And that's all I want to say about it. We don't need to go there, but I think one reason that the campus decided to keep things online is that since they will require the vaccine for students, and if only 50% of the students are vaccinated, well, that means they will lose a lot of students, and they don't want to lose a lot of students. So you're going to have a lot of online classes in the spring. The other thing that it means for us in the ESL department is there were some different plans for teachers to teach different classes, but now that we have this final decision from the school, the ESL faculty is going to teach the same classes in the spring that they were teaching right now in the fall, okay? So for me, for me, that means I'm teaching Grammar 310. I don't know if you haven't taken Grammar 310 and you want to take a class with me, that'd be great. 325, you will, I hope, I pray, I think all of you will pass that 325 at ESLW 350. Now, ESLW 350 is meant to be for students who have already passed English 300 or ESLW 340, right? So that means you probably won't be able to take 350 with me next semester. And unfortunately, you cannot take W340 with me because I'm not teaching it in the spring. But if you took 315 with Professor Travis, she is going to be teaching ESLW 340. She is an amazing person. She is a wonderful teacher. And I highly recommend her if you want to keep going to W340 next semester. Now, I also want to tell you that I will be teaching ESL W340 next fall. So that feels like a long way away, right? But if you're thinking about when you should take your transfer level English, I will teach W340, but it will not be in the spring. It will be next fall. And I said this to another student in office hours. I think that it will be online. Right? I don't know yet. We still don't know about online or face-to-face in the fall. So if you're a student who loves online and you want to wait to take 340 or transfer level English, I will teach it next fall. If you want to go fast and you just are ready to take transfer level English, you can go to English 300 in the spring or take ESLW 340 with Professor Travis, right? Those are your choices. Now, again, if you have more specific questions, you want to talk to me about your own experience, your academic goals, your plans, text me, email me, come to office hours. I am not a counselor, but I can talk to you about where I think you should go and what you can do. Okay. Vanessa is saying Trevis with an E. It is, I'll put her name.
Yes, who is?
Yeah, Professor Margaret Travis will teach ESL W340 in the fall, in spring 2022. She is, like I said, many students have took 315 with her. So like I said, if you want to wait to the fall to take it with me, I would love that. And if you're thinking, if you just want to take 340, I recommend Margaret highly. It's like this class. She has one Zoom a week. I think she's a little bit more strict with due dates than I am, but she is a wonderful human being. She is understanding and flexible, and she's a great person. And I highly recommend her. So,
Excuse me, Professor, I have a question. How many units is for that class?
four.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. And 350 is 4 units as well. And so is English 300, right? English 300 in regular English is 4 units. ESL W340 is 4 units. Both will transfer to state schools and to UC schools. And again, if you're thinking about W350, that's an advanced literature class. That's where we read like fiction books and poetry. That is also 4 units and also transfers to UCs and state schools, but as an elective, as a kind of general education elective, not as transfer level English. Other questions about any of this schedule stuff? Because I know students had questions in office hours, and we're getting closer to when spring enrollment will open up. So any other questions about this stuff? Cool.
Professor, I have a question.
Sandy,
So, you recommend to continue learning next level should be ESL W300 or 340.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, Cindy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. After that, if we finish both of them, one of them, or can we take ESL W350?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yep.
see.
And
Okay.
I teach 350, so I get to decide who comes into the class a little bit. So if you really want to talk, if a student, and I'm not even just talking to you here, Sandy, but if someone really, really wants to take 350 while they are taking 300 or 340, they should text me or email me and we can talk about that too. But the way that it's set up is 325, and then English 300. Remember, the 300 is regular English, not ESL. And then, so 325, 300 or 340, then 350. But again, I definitely have had students who are taking 340 and 350 at the same time, or taking 300 and 350 at the same time. So if that's something students want to do, they can just talk to me.
Professor, I have a question about, for example, I know that in classes, in writing classes, because of a lot of work, professors can take a lot of students from wait list. So I want to ask how many students from wait list you can take.
It's the truth about this is, oh, I don't know if I should tell you guys this. I always tell you the truth. So it's up to the teacher, Mariana. It is the teacher has all the power there. The teacher can choose to let in 1 student, 2 students, it doesn't matter. This class is capped by the school at 25 students. I let in, I'm a monster, you know, I care about you guys and I want you to succeed. So we have 32 students in this class. So I added 7 people from the wait list. It is
wow.
up to every teacher. It is up to every teacher.
Because last semester we talked about this with Margaret Travis,
Yeah.
and she said that unfortunately she can take only 1 or 2 students. She can't more because it's a lot of work.
It is.
In case of grammar, she's okay, but if it is writing, it's a lot of work and it's too hard for her. And that's true, I understand her.
It is. But you'll see, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like every teacher is so different, and I'm not, and like I said, I love Margaret as a human being and as a teacher. So I'm not saying anything negative about her at all. I just think every teacher works differently. And if you have 25 essays, 30 essays, 32 essays to grade, it is a lot of work. But some teachers, there's lots of different ways to grade and give feedback, right, Mariana? And you guys are about to see the way that I do it. And the way that I try to do it is to encourage you to come talk to me, right? I think Margaret liked to imagine that she was going to just give correct every single problem with every essay by herself alone in a room and then give that to the student. I think that's great, but you'll see what I like to do is give you sort of the big picture and then say, if you want the details, come talk to me, right? Because my favorite thing is working with students one-on-one. We've got a few students in here who know, right? Like who came to office hours multiple times to work on their essay. I love doing this. Now, not every student wants to do that. Not every student can do that. So this is just how I try to find the balance, right, Mariana, between, okay, 32 essays is a lot. So if I say I'm going to spend 3 hours grading every essay, that is insane. You know what I mean? Like that's too much. That's too much. But other teachers have their own style. So that's my long answer to your question. That's what I have to say.
Thank you for your answer. I'm sorry if it sounded like something negative. I just wanted to know in case, because I can't remember, but when I enrolled your class, I was the last one. And
So.
I was really thinking about how many people after me professor can take. So in case next fall, for example, if I want to take your class, I want to know if I will be like the 5th in the wait list. It is okay to wait or maybe to enroll someone else.
I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Well, all I'd say is this is, again, it's up to the teacher, right? The school literally says the teacher can allow 0 students from the waiting list, or the teacher can allow, like I said, in this class, I'll have 7. Basically, everyone who was on the waiting list this semester and wanted to take this class, I let in. So that's what I can say. And I understand you wanting to be strategic, Mariana. So I can't promise you, okay, no matter what, next fall, you're in, because if the waiting list is like 20 students, oh my God, and you're number 20, then that's a problem. But also, like I said, Mariana, it's up to me. So, so I don't know. I have a lot of power, and if I've worked with students and know what they're like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, that's useful information to have.
Okay. Thank you.
Am I being clear? I don't want to promise things that I can't promise, you know, but am I being clear enough? I hope.
Hello, Professor.
Yeah.
Yes, you're absolutely clear, and you have a superpower to control that together.
Every teacher, right? Don't let other teachers fool you. I think this is a thing about college. It is, I don't know. Again, I think, and this is kind of like what Fawad was saying too, is part of what you got, I firmly believe, part of my job is not just to teach you guys language and essay structure, but also how to be successful in American university, right? It's different. Different culture at different schools and different campuses. Even students who went to university at their home country, the university culture is different from country to country, right? So I think a big problem that a lot of students experience, ESL students experience, is not really understanding how the system works. So I really do think part of my job is to show and explain how US college works. And at community college, at least, And I think even at the state schools, like when I was teaching at UC Davis, it was the same thing. It's up to the teacher. It's up to the teacher. For better and for worse, the wait list is up to the teacher.
Professor, I have a question about if we take like 300 regular class and if we have an option for the second, like 340. So after 340 is over, or 300 regular class is over, so it's a 350 is a like exceptional, it's a requirement for that?
No, 350 is a general ed elective. It also transfers to UC and to state schools. It counts as a general elective humanities. So it will transfer. It is useful for any bachelor's degree. I can look up the specific, what group and what quadrant and all that stuff about where it fits in. But 350 is an elective that will then be applied to the humanities requirement for any bachelor's degree, right? But the W340, ESL W340 and English Writing 300, excuse me, that's just transfer level English. You need that for an associate's degree at ARC, and you need that for any bachelor's degree at a UC or a state school.
Okay, so the 350 is like a general information about every field that student want to doing a major, right?
Yes, it's a humanities elective, right? So like, let's see, just for example, UC Davis humanities requirement. This is pretty, again, let's see. It's basically going to be like, what would it be? University requirements. Oh, okay, GE. GE requirements. See how difficult this already is? Here it is. Okay, so a GE course for any major, like it says here, right? You're going to need between 12 and 20 units in the arts and humanities, right? So whatever bachelor's degree you get, that could be a bachelor's in science and nursing, that could be a bachelor of arts in theater. It doesn't matter, right? You're going to need at least 12 units in the humanities. So that W350 class would be 4 units that count towards your general ed requirements within the arts and humanities group, right, for your bachelor's degree. Did that make sense?
Professor, it means like it's dependent to the majors. There's some majors requirement to do this 350, which is general education, right?
No, all majors will require this is the thing. All majors at a UC bachelor's degree at UC Davis, you will need at least 12 units of arts and humanities general ed classes, no matter what. So now you're right. Will it be 12 units or 20 units? That depends on your specific major, but no matter what, any degree, any bachelor's degree, you will need at least 12 units of general ed arts and humanities units, and the 4 units for W350 would count towards that general ed humanities requirement. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfect. That sounds good. I think it helped. Like if for 12 to 20 units, four units is already we did with this one. So I think that sounds great. And Professor, that is the counselor add or recommend general education in the courses that people want to do their majors?
Inshallah, I hope.
Because I never heard this before about that. It's my first time about like 350 English and general education. So yeah, that's really like interesting.
I feel like, again, maybe at the end of the semester or something, especially for you guys, because so many of you have these type of questions, I should just do a PowerPoint, like a workshop about general ed and transfer, because the thing is, this is just my opinion now. I think that our counselors, I don't think we have enough counselors on campus, and I think that the counselors we do have don't really understand the different experience of our ESL students, because we have been asking the school to hire an ESL only or an ESL specialist counselor for years and years and years, right? Because again, I think I just said this in office hours to someone, right? Like an
Yes.
18-year-old student who graduated from high school in the United States, they have different educational needs than a student who's in their 40s and already has a degree from a university in another country, right? Like those are totally different experiences. So maybe before the end of the semester, Shamla, I can just sort of give some basic information about general ed requirements, because this does matter for you guys, because, and this is where I can say something amazing about our school. I have worked in a lot of different places, and ARC is the only place where I have seen an ESL department that has two classes, W340 and W350, that are transfer level for a bachelor's degree. That is very rare to have that in an ESL department where you have, you know, faculty like me and Professor Travis who are trained to work with multilingual people. So I think W340 and W350 are some of the coolest, most special and unique parts of our department. And I want more people to know about them. So that's why I think, like I'm saying, Shamla, I should just I should prepare like a 30-minute presentation about general ed requirements. And
Yes, Professor, that's really helpful for us, like, for the ESL students, because as you mentioned, we needed somebody to like a specialist in this department. Because whenever we spoke with we have a consultation with the counselors, they're like, try to encourage you for taking the regular classes.
Yep.
And the students who came, like, new in the United States, they have a problem in language. So that's really tough. Even myself, and even we have I think classmate here, she also have a same time 325 and 300 regular. So
Yeah.
I'm sure it's really hard to do that. But this says, oh, you study your major, you study regular classes. I think this is something that they, encouraging people, which is not useful at all. And with the level that they start to their, regular classes, they cannot able to do their task on the time, or there's a lot of problem. So the result will be like fail or dropping the classes. So you are absolutely right, Professor. We need someone special in ESL to understand more the students, like coming from the from the second country to settle here. I think this is really important. Yeah.
I think so too. I think so too. I think again, if you're in this class right now and you think, but I want to take regular English, like I want to have that experience. I want to take regular English 300 with American students. That's beautiful. You guys do it, right? I think that's fantastic if that's your goal. And I also think, I think W340 is an amazing part of our program in our department. And I wish that we had like 2 or 3 sections every semester, because I think that we could be doing that if students knew that they can take transfer level English with an ESL professor like me or Professor Travis or Professor Folly. Kat is the other teacher who teaches W340. So
sounds great, Professor. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think they need something to do about that. Otherwise, Professor, to be honest, like 2-3 times when I started my, with my major in the college, they encouraged me to take this, with regular classes. But it sounds good. But when you started, how much of the differences. Now I'm working with 325, with 315. Now I know, like, more like I want to do my writing, like a level of academic writing.
yeah.
So that's really important. Yeah, that's really.
I always tell students, if your number one goal is go fast, then maybe 300 is the best option. If your number one goal is learn how to write at US college, then go a little slower and take.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. But like I said, if there's a student in this group, if you're in this room with me or you're watching the recording and you're going, I'm going to be a computer engineer and I don't want to write, 200 essays before that's fine, right? Go take 300. That's your right. I think that's great. But again, if your goal is to actually understand English writing, I think that 300 I don't think that's what happens in 300.
Yes, Professor. And I think the expectation of the professors in regular classes like higher. And to be honest, they're not checking like specific things. They say, okay, you're in this level, you have to know everything. And the task that they give, I think the way that they're teaching, like, to be honest, Professor, some of people I know, I don't like it. because they are not working like a specific things that the student just, concentrate about the videos, just do your work. So these things, I think ESL is the best option to do that. And I think 340, when you reach to 340, so it will be easier for you to get academic writing if somebody wants to really improve their academic writing.
Yeah, I think, like I said, 340 is a great option. And again, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, I want to make sure we move on here, but
Yes.
I don't disagree with anything Shamla said. And I think this is such an important topic. And I think, again, I wanted to make sure I showed this to you guys as soon as possible. I saw that in the chat. I think it was Nilab was asking about grammar. So I teach grammar 310. Now, if you, even though you're in 325 reading and writing, if your grammar level is still 310, you can still take a lower level grammar class. And with lots of love and respect for every single one of you in this class, except for Hugh Lee and Veronica and the students who already took my grammar class, you would still learn a lot, even though it's 310 as a lower level. In that class, we can look very specifically at your sentence structure, and I can give you lots of details. So if you haven't taken 310, ask Circulam or Hugh Lee or Veronica or who else was in that class with me last semester. So again, if you haven't taken 310, don't be scared because it's lower. I promise I will still help you fix your sentences in 310. So that's what I'm teaching in the spring, Nilab. And if you already took 310, grammar 320 will be offered, and that's being taught by Professor Fertel. And I can put that, she's a very, very smart woman. ESL G 320 is Professor Fertel. So if you were thinking about grammar next semester, cool. So that is my long topic and discussion about next semester. And I'll just repeat one last time. If you're thinking, what should I do? What should I take? I want to talk to Jeff, email or text me, and let's talk at office hours. And if you want to go fast, I'll tell you how to go fast. If you want to go slow, I'll tell you how to go slow. So.
Thank you so much, Professor, because the classes, it's next month, it's not far away from this date.
I know.
So we need some advice from you, and we take our decisions about the classes. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, of course. No, my pleasure. It's very important. It is very, very important. All right. So that was my announcement. And now I do want to go into small groups so that you can talk to each other just a little bit, because it's been a long time. So I just want to give you a few minutes. We'll just do like a 10-minute warm up for you guys to talk to each other. 2 questions I want you to talk about. We are now halfway through the semester. How are you feeling about this class, your other classes? How do you feel in general? If you want to talk about what we just talked about for next semester, that's fine too. And then really, I'd love for you to, if you have any question about this class that I can answer, what are we doing? What's going on? Any general questions, not just about, I have a question about my discussion number 2. Email me about that. But any question about this class and where we're at, what is going on, share that with your group. And then please be ready to share that with me when we get back together. So we'll do this short warm up. I will answer any big questions you have because like I said, we're pretty much, we're done. We're done with this book. You're not done with your essays because I'm going to grade them and you can revise them if you want. But today we're sort of walking away from narrative writing and we're getting ready when I talk about summarizing and paraphrasing to talk about academic writing and to talk about hyperfocus. So that's where we are in the semester. So what's a question you still have? What can I answer for you? And then we'll get started with paraphrasing today. Okay. I'm going to open up the breakout rooms, but before I do that, any questions about what I want you to chat about right now? All right. We'll talk to each other, say hello. Remember, you're not alone in this class. There's other humans with you. And like I said, I'll give you about 10 minutes, not too much more, because I do want to focus on paraphrasing today and summarizing. So the rooms are open and I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
We are back, Professor.
Professor, we are back with a lot of discussions.
People were still in their rooms. I was like, "Oh, did we need more time or what was going on?" Okay. I'm ready. So then, like I said, my goal is that if people have questions from each group, so maybe let's just start with, let me look at my rooms here. Group number 1, that was Sandy, Circulum, Veronica. What did any questions come up I can answer for you guys about this class right now?
No question for me.
Love it. Veronica says, no, I'm good. Sandy, Circulum, Nazi?
I think we are okay because we had experience last semester, so everything is going good. For us.
Yeah, it's true. You kind of know how.
Yeah.
Know how
Yeah.
Usually I start and finish strong. I get a little tired in the middle.
So maybe we see you next year.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what we talk, me and Veronica.
Good.
We
But
keep
okay,
following
good.
you. Yeah.
Good. I love it. I love it. I love it. Of course, I always love to work with students more, again, and even if all you got to do is just talk to each other and talk about next semester, I think that's great. So no questions from group 1, Sandy or Nazi, anybody
No,
else?
thank you.
Actually, it was a question like very short.
Yeah.
That
Group number
1.
Oh, you were in group 1 too. Yeah, please tell me.
It was about essay. If this essay must have like a structure, or it's how we see.
Yeah. This essay does not, instead of thinking about it like a structure, this must be paragraph 1, this must be paragraph 2. Remember, I spent lots of time talking about narrative, descriptive writing, and theme, right? And like we saw in the book, like we saw in A Map is Only One Story. Oh my God, I'm losing my voice. Like we saw in A Map is Only One Story. Writers did this in different ways, right? Maybe they just had a theme paragraph at the beginning. Oh, I will never forget this experience. It was so important. And I learned this important lesson. And then lots of narrative, right? Some people maybe start with the narrative, right? Like, okay, it was this day at this time, and I will never forget. The sky was this color. I had this feeling, the wind on my face, whatever. And then by the end, we sort of understand the theme. So instead of thinking about you must have a theme sentence as the first sentence of the 3rd paragraph, it's more about making sure that all of the elements of narrative writing are a part of your essay. Now, when you get my feedback this week, right? So before we meet next week, I will have a first grade and feedback for your essays. You'll see, I might say something like, your narrative is really clear and the theme is good, but hey, there's not a lot of descriptive writing, right? You didn't describe what someone was wearing. You didn't describe what it felt like, right? Or I might say, wow, this is amazing descriptive writing. You explain the story beginning, middle, and end, but I don't know what the theme is. So you might need to write a little bit more about the lesson that you learned or how you feel about this experience now. So that is more the structure for this type of essay. Now, today, we're going to start to introduce nonfiction, right? We're going to look at sort of more academic style writing. And for the final project, because you've already finished one, you finished one of the big papers, you've only got one left, there will be much more like, okay, in this first section, you need to do this. In this second section, you need to do this. So there will be a much more formal structure for the academic writing than there is for the narrative, but I still don't, I hope that you guys understand, right? It's not that there's no structure for this narrative writing, it's that it's just not exactly A, B, C, D, E, right? You might be able to say in a narrative, right? B, C, A, E, D, and that's just because that's the structure of this type of writing. So that's my big long answer. My short answer, if you're thinking about your own essays, is I'll tell you, right? Like if I say, wow, great narrative, but where's your theme? That's the way we talk about structure for this type of writing. So that's what my feedback will kind of be like, Mariana.
Thank you.
Yeah. Group 2, that was Baran, Mina, Nidab, Shamla, and Zohra. Shamla, I already heard you say lots of questions, so tell me, how can I?
Actually, Professor, we discussed about essays, about experience that we have in our class, about thinking that for 340 in fall year class, and a lot of good things about you, Professor. But I think the question that we all, I think in my mind, and I'm sure other students have same. So Professor, we actually overall, we have 3 major writings and 1 we passed. So it's left like 2. And for finals, if we write, there is any essay, how many days we have, or something that it's something that all the time it's going in my mind to ask from you.
Yeah. Oh, I opened the wrong document. This was for grammar class. Where did my syllabus go? Yeah, so remember, like I say, actually, hopefully good news for you, right? We only have 2. Oh, I have a typo here. I am so sorry. I say 3 and I only list 2. There's only 2 big projects, right? There's only 2 big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have the same question because when I read it, the syllabus, it was 3 major writing, but when we talk at the class, 2 major writing. I have this question.
Yeah,
I asked a good question, right? I asked a good question.
Great question. Again, I will always tell the truth and admit my mistake. So this is just a typo, right? So it said 3, but then I only listed 2. So you've only got 1 more big academic project.
Wow.
Yeah, good. But Professor, I have question about essay. I wrote about my own story because I always wanted to write my own life story. Not problem?
No, I was going to say you better have written that was part of the assignment, right? Is your own personal narrative.
Yeah, because I wrote this opportunity for me. Thank you.
Good. No, it's my joy. It's my pleasure. Yes, that's why, right? So we get to do the narrative first, and then the big academic writing project. We'll do this in chunks. It's not going to be all due at one time. But then the other third project Shama was asking about is the final exam. And as I told you in the essay, in the syllabus here, excuse me, I am required to give you a timed writing exam. But again, I have the power. Your teachers have the power. So typically, usually I will give you guys about 72 hours, like 3 days. So I have to give you a fixed amount of time, right? I can't open the final right now, but believe me, the final, I will require you to do some more writing. And I usually tell students, okay, give yourself about 3 or 4 hours, but it's not super stressful. It's not research writing. Again, my grammar students already know this. It really is a chance for you to write about what you learned in the class. It's not like a prove to me that you memorized everything, right? So it's usually 72 hours. Sometimes I'm even more tired and generous, and you can have even longer. But again, it's not something you need to study for or be worried about. It's more going to be like, write about your opinion about this experience. What did you learn from writing the personal narrative? It's going to be that type of assignment instead of, memorize this and take this quiz.
So Professor, for that, how many words required for that?
I don't know yet. Like I said, instead of thinking about numbers, I'd say, like I said, the highest grades I see from students usually are if you can spend 3 or 4 hours, even 2 hours. But again, like I just think this is how students actually think, right? So that's why I talk about time. I'm not telling you only spend 2 hours, but I'm saying if you try to do the final essay, the final reflection activity in like 15 or 20 minutes, it probably won't be great. If you can give it 2 or 3 or 4 hours, you'll have some time to think about it and write about it, and then walk away, go back, revise and change things, right? So instead of thinking about word numbers, I'd say, again, think about maybe 3 or 4 hours of your life to do the final reflection activity.
Hope for the best, Professor. I think if you become more generous and give them more time, so that would appreciate it. If we just have more than 72 hours. So I know, because it is like a final, so it's more sensitive to us. I'm thinking like more deeply about that. So I hope your question.
I hope the best advice I can give you is don't even think about the final today. Any stress you feel about the final right now is, I understand why students feel that way, but it is it's not a good use of time. Because you already know me, you guys, right? I'm going to make it as useful and stress-free as possible for you. And the other thing, again, one thing just about me as a teacher, you already know, is I can't tell you exactly what the final will look like, because I need to know how the next 8 weeks go. Like, do you guys feel good about the academic writing essay? Do we need to go slower? Like, that's just, for better and for worse. Some students hate that. They're like, I need to know what we're doing in week 15. I totally understand that, but that's not the type of teacher I am, right? I need to know how we're feeling and what we're doing and how confident you guys are. So that'd be what I'd say. Try not to stress about the final in week 9. It's not a very good use of your time if you can.
Thank you so much, Professor. I really appreciate it. That will help us a lot. And of course, we 100% have a faith on you. So no more stress.
I agree with her.
I hope that I have earned at least some of your trust. Final exam, I'll write at least 72 hours. Try not to stress. Should take about 3 or 4 hours of your life to complete. And again, we'll talk much more about it in the final 2 weeks of class to get you ready. And I'll add question 3, and I'll fix my typo in the syllabus. How many major writing projects? 2, not 3. Like my typo on the syllabus. Yeah, so you're halfway done, right? You're halfway done with the big big essays, the big writing assignments. Yeah. Other questions from that group 2? Yes, Baran said, I asked a good question. You did, thank you. Any other questions from group 2? In narrative essays, can we have many themes? Ooh. And Zohra said, I submitted my narrative essay with a lot of stress. Of course, due dates are stressful. It reminds me when I wrote an essay for the first time in ESL 40 class. However, I enjoyed it when I wrote about my story. This is my dream. Again, all my students who come to office hours, you know, I said, did you have a little bit of fun doing this? I know anytime it's for a grade, it feels not fun, but I hope that it was somewhat fun to think about and do. And then Zohra's asking, in an narrative essay, can we have many themes? Can there be more than one theme in a narrative? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Like we talked about with the dress, and like we talked about with, say it with noodles, and like I had you write about for Arab past, American future, and in the discussion activity, you know, we could say themes about family and culture and language. We could talk about culture and class, right? Rich people and poor people, and cultural change, right? The best way to think about it is, instead of thinking about only one theme, it's, okay, what's the kind of, if we could say that there's 3 or 4 themes, how are they connected, right? Language, culture, and change, hopefully by now, that makes some sense. We understand for immigrants how that goes together, right? Like change, culture, and language. Well, that's like the immigrant's life. You know what I mean? That's kind of everything. So absolutely, Zosha, can we have more than one theme in a narrative? Yes. And I'd say, as long as it is clear how they are connected, right? So if you have more than one theme, hopefully it's clear that they're not connected, and it's not, you know, things that feel like, wait a minute, the reader is like, wait, why are we talking about these things together, right? It's not clear. For example, say it with Noodles, if she just wrote about food and didn't write about how she used to cook with her grandmother, we might feel like, why is she talking about food? Who cares, right? But we understand, well, okay, she learned how to cook from her grandmother, and food and her grandmother are connected. So we understand, oh, okay, so food and family and all of this is how it's clear how it comes together, right? So that's the best way to think about more than one theme in a narrative essay like this. Yeah, absolutely. Great questions, Zosha. Anybody else from group 2? Great questions from group 2, as always. Any other questions? I'm going to start a new slide.
No, thank you.
Cool. How about group 3? That's Hugh Lee and, excuse me, and Husnan, Mohid, and Shakila. Any questions from group 3?
Yeah, I have a question, Professor. We study this class with the us feeling that we feel very comfortable when writing essay or narrative essay, but we give 2 weeks for first draft, and after that 1 week for to correct the final draft. But in person class for next semester, if we study in person in campus, how we can manage to do our essay within 2 hours, because we have to submit completed essay, not first draft.
I agree. Hugh Lee's asking about timed writing, right? Timed writing. You're just getting all of the truth from me tonight. I think timed writing is stupid, Hugh Lee. I don't think that timed writing tests writing skill. I think timed writing makes students stressed. I don't think that if you say to a student, you only have 2 hours to write this essay, I don't think it shows anything. But you're right, some people might do a timed writing for a final exam or an essay. I don't do that. And even in a face-to-face class, which remember next semester, so in the spring, lots of online, not going to be a lot of face-to-face. But you're right. So, I mean, Hugh Lee, I think the best thing to do is ask the teacher, is there a timed writing essay, right? Am I only going to have 2 hours? And then there are different, this is like a test taking strategy, right? Not even a writing strategy, but there are test taking strategies that you can find YouTube videos for, or there might even be some classes or links at ARC. Okay, test taking strategies for timed writing. Because you're right, some teachers, especially older teachers, more traditional teachers, this is something that people still do. And so that's just, I don't have a perfect answer for you, Hugh Lee, but
only 2 hours we have to write the complete essay with the 1,500 words.
I know.
They cannot be the first draft, cannot write it. We submit completed essay, only 2 hours. So,
is that for English 300? Is that for English 300?
I'm not yet. I'm afraid.
No, I agree. I wish I could. I agree, Hugh. I agree, Hugh. I don't know what to say. Like I said, look on the syllabus. Ask the professor in week 1 if they say yes. There's, you have to write a timed essay. Then make a decision. Maybe that's not the best class for you. Some old school teachers really still do this. I think that especially for second language learners, third, fourth, fifth language learners, I just think it's useless. I don't think it tests anything. I don't think it tests anything. That's why
because we cannot study online forever. But
I know.
someday we study in class in person. So we have to do how I say.
Yeah, because Professor, I wrote for 3 days. Because I wrote 1,400. Yeah, I think 3 days.
I hope so, right? I just Googled strategies for timed essays. I mean, I could put this in the chat for you, Hugh Lee. I mean, I'm not an expert on this because I hate it. And when I started learning how to be a teacher, I just decided I was never going to do it.
Before I write it, I study in person in IRC 50 in class degree of 1 hour 50 1.5 hours to write complete essay in class. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just put, I'll try and remember here if I can remember. There's different, all I'd say is the best thing to do is if you think you have to do this in the future, Google, I'll say Google, my internet's getting a little slow. I hope you can still hear me. This is, today's lesson after we're done with these questions is about reading strategies. So this would be a test taking strategy, right? So it's almost like you have to learn how to take these timed essays, and it's not fun. I agree. I think it's stupid. That's just my opinion. Other teachers will do it. I did it when I graduated with my bachelor's degree. I had 2 professors from my major who loved this stuff. I was going to use a different word there, who loved time writing. I don't know. But again, especially for multilingual students, I think it's ridiculous. I don't think it tests your language skills or your knowledge skills, because all you're thinking about is, I'm so stressed. Oh my God, I need to Google a word. I don't know this word. I want to use a word from my first language. I don't know how to translate it. It's terrible. It's terrible. So I'll say, yeah, Google it. Ask the professor in week 1 if there are timed writing tests, and if so, start to prepare. That's kind of my general advice, Yuli. I don't feel like it's a great answer, but that's my true answer to your good question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I used to study ESL writing 30 or 40. They give their final exam. They give for 1 hour of 30 minutes to write the topic like this. That's all. We have to submit your complete essay. Yeah.
I know. I agree. I know. I'll think about this question too. Yeah, I'll talk to some other faculty or teachers I know. If they have good YouTube videos or sort of really good strategies for timed tests, I can give you those links and let you know, Hughley, because it is a good question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Or if they teach that at maybe at the Learning Resource Center at ARC, at the LRC, there might be classes in this. Like you could take a 1-unit class about test taking strategies. That could definitely be there.
I had experience like 3 semester ago.
Tell me.
We start in class, and then when the COVID started, we changed to online. Before that, I had like 2 hours writing. The teacher gave us topic, and then she said 5 paragraph and conclusion within 2 hours.
How was it?
Yeah, I have the same experience in writing 40 with teacher Margarita.
Yeah.
2 hour, and it was time writing, and the structure, like she gave us a topic and we follow the structure for that essay, but the spelling were horrible for my, I couldn't spell many of words and write, so it was like, very stressful.
It's horrible. Yeah, and this is why on the syllabus, you guys, I say per ARC policy, they make us do this. Per ARC policy, I am required to admit a timed writing exam. But you're exactly correct, Yuli. Online, I can say, okay, it's timed. You have 72 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't open it today, right? So I do give you a specific time. And I will, let me say this, Shamma, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this so that I can keep my job. You guys know I love my job. So for the final exam, when I say it's due, that one, okay? Like to say that it's timed, you've got to give it to me within that 72-hour window. And if it's after that time, I cannot take it, because if the administration finds out, then I'm not doing my job, right? So I'm trying to give you guys as much room as possible, as much peace and freedom and safety and ease as possible. But like I said, on the syllabus, I say per ARC policy because it's the truth. And some teachers love it. Like I said, some teachers, like in a 40 level class, I think that's like torture, you know. Again, torture is I don't want to sound crazy. Torture is it's horrible. I shouldn't even say that, but it's very painful and it's very stressful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some teachers really believe in it. Some teachers really believe in it.
Professor, I have a question. If sometime it's, of course, everything, we respect the time, you respect your opinion, everything, but it's life. If some exceptional something happened, like for example, on the final, and we cannot submit on the right away on the same time, or like we submit a 1 hour later, or like in the morning. So what kind of exceptions, the ERC or the college accepted? Because nobody knows what will be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like I said, how often do you ever hear me say this, you guys? Zero. This is the one thing that for this, we're not even going to meet the finals week, you guys. It's all going to be, you do it on your own. Our last class meeting will be the last week of class. And then I open up the final exam. You have that window, that time window that's open, and it's due within that window. If you want to do it in the first 2 hours and be done, that's great. But you've got to get it in before that deadline. Now, within what are the exceptions that are possible, Shamla? It's hard to say, right? Because if you think about it, like Huli's question, if you think about it, if you have a face-to-face class and you are supposed to be there the day of the final, if you're not there the day of the final, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's why for this one thing, I try to give as much freedom and flexibility as possible, but also follow the rules so that I don't get in trouble and that I can keep my job, because like I said, I love my job and I want to keep my job.
Yeah, Professor, of course, we respect, your time and your job and everything, but sometimes because not just me, like every student saying, okay, it is life. If something happened just suddenly, we don't know, like suddenly happened, or something that happened like terribly, like any family member gets like sick in ER, like kind of, please God, not like this, an accident or some kind of really unexpected, even happen. So there is any exceptional for this or not in a college. So because that kind of situation, no one can predict that. But when it happens, so I don't know, it is happen.
I agree. And for the final exam, whether it's online or face-to-face, assume that there is no flexibility. That's just the world we live in, I think.
So we just have to pray from God. It's just healthy. We have to be healthy and nothing will happen, please. To be on time.
He gave us 72 hours, right? That's what he said. Not 2 hours.
Yeah. No, I know. Yes. Yeah. Yes, exactly correct. Again, hopefully all of this we won't even need to worry about this. I think it will be fine. I understand why students are concerned, but again, I'm going to give you a window so that if something happens, tell me as soon as possible. Don't wait to tell me,
yes.
That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you, Professor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
About that. So Huli's great question about timed writing. Husna, Muahid, Shakila, any questions from you guys?
I don't have question.
Cool.
So our I have a question. So
Please.
Our team should be just about language, culture, or health, or something else we can mention
For the narrative essay?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I said that's my suggestion. That's my sort of requirement. But again, I'll just share. Some students wrote about their experience becoming like with their family changing, right? With if someone in their family is sick, or if they have a child, or so, you know, you could write about a theme sort of like this, and that could be fine, right? My suggestion is for language and culture, because we spent the first 2 or 3 weeks talking about it, right? So it's more important to me when I'm grading your essay that you have a clear theme, that it's a specific, you know, it must be a theme about language. No, if your theme is about motherhood or change in your family, that's fine, as long as it's clear and it's connected to your narrative, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Anybody else from that group?
No, thank you. I don't have a question, but we talking about your your way of your teaching.
Yeah.
Everybody like your teaching, and you did not give us the due date. They love it. The time for the homework. We talk about that. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, it
Thank
works.
you.
It's been working. It works. I think it's times are changing. We all need to change a little bit too, you know.
I had some question before, but you already answered.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that. And I'll say the same thing. Mariam was in room 4. That's Arifa, Fawad, and Vanessa. So let's we'll finish this up here. Any last questions from you guys? And Wahid, I know you were in room 3 too. But any last questions here about this class? What we're doing? Where we're going? Anything else?
Yes, this class. Go ahead if somebody else want to talk.
Actually, I did not have any questions, Professor. I just appreciate what you do. That's it.
Oh, thanks, Wahid. Fawad, you're up.
Yes, this class is so amazing, so helpful. We have so much freedom in this class. We depend on the teacher. He's great, helpful, and very short question, maybe like, how could we be very successful reader and writer in this class?
That's a short question, Fawad. We spent 16 weeks answering that question. I'll say this. And here's my answer for all things like this. Try to build a practice for yourself. Now, this is so hard, right? For people, like I said, working, children, especially women who are in the home and you run the home, right? Cooking, cleaning, you do everything. So I know this, right? Everybody's got something they're dealing with, but as much as you can, I think some kind of habit, some kind of practice, some kind of routine. So that means if you say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to make a random example for it. Every Friday morning at 8:30 in the morning, I'm going to spend 30 minutes reading in English. And you just start doing this practice. It's slow, but this type of habit is really what can make things happen, right? So, and it can be small. Like I said, it can be small. It could be 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But what I think it's hard for any new thing we're learning, if we don't have any plan, we're just like, oh my God, I know I have to do this, but I don't know when I'm going to do it. And then it's like Thursday at 3 in the morning, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to do it now. And I'm just going to do it in 30 minutes. Well, we don't, and with lots of respect, I know why that happens. We're all busy, but we know you're not going to get your best work at 3 a.m. on Tuesday morning. You know what I mean? And that's fine. Like I said, that's not a criticism. That's not a judgment. I understand life is crazy. But if you can, try to build some structure, some practice into your class, right? Into this class, into some other class. And maybe you don't have time. You're taking 4 classes. You can't do it for every class. But okay, choose the class that's most important for you and say, you know what? I'm going to give it 30 minutes on this day at this time. And a little bit, actually, what I'm saying here, we're going to get to read about in hyperfocus, because hyperfocus is a little bit about how to reach your goals, but realistically, right? Like, I love hyperfocus. I'm going to introduce it next week, but he knows, right? We don't have infinite time. We're all so busy. We're all working so hard. We all have so many things to do. So we need to start with a honest question. What is realistic, right? What is possible? And if you start there, then you can make some kind of plan so that even if you're like, you know what, I only have like 2 hours to write this essay, but I'm going to decide, you know what, Saturday at 10 a.m., I'm going to do it, instead of in the back of your mind going like, oh my God, I need to do the essay. When am I going to do it? I don't have time. I'm never going to do it. And then it's 3 a.m. And that's the worst, right? That's the worst. That's the worst feeling in the world, because then it's not even about learning, right? It's about just getting it done.
Wasting the time.
And that sucks. I mean, like, you still might pass and you still might get your units, and that's valuable, right? I know in the world we live in, you need these units, you need these classes, you need this degree, you need a better job, you need more money. I totally understand it. There is no judgment. There is no judgment at all. Hi. But peekaboo. But if you have a specific language goal, make some kind of practice and habit, and don't be afraid to start small. 15 minutes a week, you know what I mean? Start there, and stuff will happen. Stuff really will happen. So that's my
Thank you so much. Thank you.
and it's a great question, because we'll get to talk about it when we start hyperfocus. Hi. We have speakers. Baran's got
Yes, I want to say something, Professor.
Vanessa, get in there, please.
I'm worried about the last assignment or essay, but I think when you I don't know explain you in English.
No,
I had the grade and I fixed my mistake. Okay.
That's it. That's it. That's it, Vanessa. That's the whole goal, right? So I think that someone was talking about, or Hugh Lee was talking about this, and again, he knows from taking my grammar class. Remember, you will get my feedback and grade for your first draft, and then you have 1 week to revise, edit, and resubmit for more points. And I'll tell you this: in all the time I've been teaching, if a student decides to revise and resubmit, your grade will always go up. You will always fix your own errors. And this is, I think, learning. When you can see your own errors and fix your own errors, that is actual learning. And I understand why other teachers don't teach this way, is because it takes much more work, you guys, to have students submit an essay, get my feedback, send it back to you, you send it back to me, then I grade it again. It takes more time, but it's so much better. It's really where learning happens. And that's where I like to spend my time when I'm grading, and don't just do quizzes, homework, quizzes, homework, quizzes, homework, quizzes, homework. So anyway, yeah, you will see my comments, you will see my grade, Vanessa, and then you'll have time to revise and resubmit. And I say it all the time. I truly hope everybody will revise and resubmit, because I really do think for writing, that's where the magic happens. You know, when you submit something and then a week later you walk away, right? You don't see it again. Then a week later you read it again with my feedback and you go, oh, I see what I did. Oh, wow. I didn't know that I spelled this word wrong. Oh, I understand. That's magic, man. That's why I do this job, because that is real learning. And that's my favorite. You know, that's like magic. I really do think that why I love this job so much is that's something really cool that humans get to do. Not all other animals on this planet get to have that moment of like, oh, I understand. And now I learned something that I'll remember. That's so cool. So yeah, you'll get the chance, Vanessa. You'll get the chance. You can.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, of course. Send Veronica, talk to Veronica in Spanish and she'll tell you because she took my grammar class. She knows. She knows what I'm talking about. Gracias.
Excuse me, Professor, I have a question.
Sure, Shakila.
About essay.
Yep.
Is PDF format good for you or Word format good for you?
Word is better just because Canvas likes Word better than PDF.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Did you submit PDF?
Yes, I submitted with Word format.
Oh, perfect. Then you're Word is better. And again, I don't really care, but Canvas, it's easier to grade and look at documents in Canvas when they're in Word instead of in PDF.
Thank you.
No problem. Great question. Anybody else? This was like a group therapy session. This was fantastic, you guys. Anybody? I'm having fun. I hope you guys are too. Any other last questions? Big picture questions about this class? We went really deep with it, you guys. We went.
Professor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Professor Ma, I have one question. When we start our second major writing, so still we have 2 weeks for this time to do that?
Always.
Okay.
And we're even going to start, like I said, we're going to do it kind of in at least 2 chunks because you'll see. You'll have plenty of time. And like I say in the syllabus, I will always give you at least 2 weeks for any major writing assignment. And that includes the final. Like I said, by about 2 weeks before the end of the semester, I know where we are. I know how fast we're going, and I'll be able to give you more information about the final 2 weeks beforehand too. Always, 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 always.
Yeah.
And Professor, the words requirement, it's the same, or now it's there's no idea for that. It's like a 1200 or like it's increasing to like 1500 as you mentioned at the beginning of the class.
I'm not sure yet. Assume at least 1200. Yeah.
At least. Okay. Thank you.
Now, again, that's another thing, just so you guys know, that's another thing, like I say on the syllabus here, per ARC policy. I think it's in this part of the syllabus too. I forget where it is, but again, my job is, it is my job from the school, right? The school says any teacher who teaches ESL 325 must assign 6,000 words of graded writing to the students. So the numbers that I give you for word counts, it's not because I'm a monster. It's because the school says this is what we expect for students at this level, right? So that's just more behind the curtain, behind the scenes information for you about why I put word counts, is because the school gives me a word count to make you guys do. So
thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah. We have 35 minutes. How much can we get done? I want to see if you're there and you can give me a little, some of the reactions. If you can give me like a little yellow thumbs up here. Should we take like a little 5-minute break here, or just keep going and end 5 minutes early? So give me thumbs up for break. Thumbs up for break. Okay, now let the thumbs go away.
Yes, Professor, please.
Okay. Or now give me thumbs up for no break, end early. Thumbs up for no break, end early.
No break early.
No break early. All right, let's go. It's a democracy. I know I wanted to. Shamlet, just mute yourself and go stretch. Good.
Okay, Professor, thank you.
Everybody's screens are off. I don't know. Come watch the video later. Yeah, let's just push through. I'm with you. I want to break too, but I'm afraid if I walk away from the computer, I'll never come back. Okay, I can do this quickly, I promise.
Oh, okay, Professor.
Yeah, I never know what you guys are doing with the screens off. It's all good. Okay, so here is what I want to do then. Instead of doing more talking from you guys, I wanted to introduce paraphrasing and summarizing, okay? And then I'm going to show you a reading strategy. And then I'll show you an article. And I was going to go through the article together today, but let's look at the article next week in more detail. But I do want to get this onto the recording and show it to you so that you feel comfortable about it. And then next week, we'll just start with the article. I'm not going to review this stuff next week. Okay, that's my compromise. Okay, but you can mute yourself if you want, because I am going to talk for a little while here. Okay, so paraphrasing and summarizing, right? Some of the most important skills that you've started to learn. If you already took 315, I know that you practiced summarizing, and I'm sure that you started to learn about and maybe start practicing paraphrasing. And before I show you this slide, I also wanted to say in Canvas, again, if you go to live support materials for today's page, I already have the link to this PDF here, right? Summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting PDF. And when you click the link, it's from a textbook that I don't want to make you guys buy the whole textbook. So I just have these pages from the textbook, okay? And there's lots of good information in here. The things that I'm talking about come from this book. So if you have the time, if you want to build that practice, like I was talking about to Fawad's great question, this PDF is here for you, right? If you want more information, okay? But what you will see in those pages from the textbook is information about what paraphrasing and summarizing are and when we use them in academic writing. So I'm going to start with summarizing on this page, okay? So summarizing is all about explaining the main ideas of the text to the reader. So again, summary is about main ideas. You probably already know this. A summary is shorter than the original text. So if you read a text that was a page long, your summary could be half a page, a quarter of a page. But by definition, your summary will be shorter than the thing you are summarizing. A summary is selective. This means you cannot include everything. And because you cannot include everything, you only focus on the main idea. And a summary condenses. That means a summary takes big ideas and makes them shorter. A summary takes one page and makes it half a page. And this, I'm also saying, applies to sentences. So, my body's shutting down. So if you are summarizing a long sentence, you can condense it. You can absolutely make it shorter, smaller, and simpler, right? So summarizing is all about main ideas. Summarizing is all about making it shorter, and that means you cannot include everything. Get this into your head right now. If you are summarizing, you include everything. And it also includes condensing, so making things smaller, making things shorter. So how is this different than paraphrasing? What is paraphrasing? A paraphrase is about restating all of the ideas from a text in your own words, right? A paraphrase is about the same length as the original. So that means, by definition, if I ask you to paraphrase 2 paragraphs, your paraphrase should be about 2 paragraphs. If I ask you to summarize 1 paragraph, your summary should be 1 paragraph, right? So again, by definition, a paraphrase will be longer than a summary of the same text, right? If you're looking at one text, one chapter, whatever, the paraphrase of that chapter will be longer and the summary will be shorter. Next, a paraphrase is specific, so you must include everything. Like I said, if you're paraphrasing 2 paragraphs and there are 2 main ideas and 5 details, then your paraphrase will also include 2 main ideas and 5 details. If you're summarizing that same text, you're probably only going to include the 2 main ideas. And finally, a paraphrase clarifies. This is the hardest thing that we are going to look at, but it just means that a paraphrase is a chance for you to use some critical thinking skills to make the ideas more clear to your reader, right? In fact, that is the only reason that you paraphrase. You paraphrase because you read something interesting. You think that there's an interesting idea in there. You understand that idea. And the only way for you to explain that to the reader is to use the same ideas in your own words. A summary, you don't need to explain and clarify, right? The summary is to just say it simpler, say it easier. A paraphrase is you are trying to explain a complicated idea in your own words. And for example, so again, that's the basic background information about what summarizing is and what paraphrasing is. Now, of course, the big challenge for these things is not understanding what they are, right? Anybody in this class, after our amazing 8-9 weeks with you guys, I know all of you could memorize this list. That's fine. But the real challenge is, well, when do we paraphrase and how do we paraphrase? When should I summarize and how do I summarize, right? So that's what I've got these 2 slides about for here. So paraphrasing. When do we paraphrase? We paraphrase when the idea in the original text is important, but the wording is not. Maybe, for example, you are in a class and you are reading a book that is 30 or 40 or 50 years old. Maybe there's some language that feels out of date or it feels too old, but the ideas are very important. Well, then you might just want to keep all of the ideas, but sort of translate it into a more modern type of language, right? The way that people actually write in 2021. So when all of the ideas are essential, but the wording is not, you can paraphrase. You can also paraphrase when you have already did a direct quote. Maybe you've done an MLA in-text citation, but remember, I forget if it was Fawad or Shamla, they were asking, okay, it might have been someone else too. Well, how long can my quote be for an in-text citation? And I think I said, well, about 3 or 4 lines on the page is the longest you want to have a quote. So if you already have a quote, if you already have an in-text citation, but you want to include more ideas from that reading, okay, maybe you start with the direct quote, but then you need to paraphrase because you can't have one whole page of your essay that's just a long quote, right? You don't get to do that at US University. And the other when to paraphrase is when you don't need to worry about length, right? If you've got lots of time and space and words, then you don't need to worry about summarizing. You can include as much information as you want. Now, how do we paraphrase? The real answer to this is practice. And we're not going to start to practice today because we don't have time, but that's fine. We get, 7 more weeks of practice. The rest of this semester, we get to practice paraphrasing. So how practice? But here's some other, background, basic information. So how? First, you need to understand every word of the text that you're paraphrasing. And as I say in red here, that means you should use any and all reading strategies necessary. And I'm going to introduce, I think I might introduce the reading strategy next week. But we've talked about 3 specific reading strategies. I'm going to introduce number 4 to you when we start looking at articles. So you've got to use your reading strategies to make sure that you understand every word of what you are paraphrasing. Then you can use the original organization in the text, right? So if you're paraphrasing a paragraph, you can just kind of go sentence for sentence. Okay, first I'm going to paraphrase sentence number 1, then I'm going to paraphrase sentence number 2, then I'm going to paraphrase sentence number 3. That's the good news about the paraphrasing, right? Many of your excellent questions today were about structure. The structure of your paraphrase, you can just use the exact same structure of the text that you are reading, right? That's the good news. So that's a helpful thing about how for paraphrasing. Another way that you can paraphrase is to replace words in the original text with synonyms, right? If you're thinking, okay, I need to have the same meaning, but with different words, well, that's where synonyms are helpful, right? Now, we'll look at an example of this. You don't just want to go to the thesaurus and look up a synonym for every single adjective and just replace the adjectives. That's going to feel like Google Translate robot voice, okay? But using strategic synonyms can be very helpful when you're doing your paraphrasing. And then finally, you can edit your sentence structure for variety whenever possible. Now, we're going to look at more examples of this, and you might look at that idea and go, what is Jeff talking about? We will look at examples of it, but this just means you don't want your paraphrase to read like a simple list of things. And in general, at 325 level and at English 300 level, we don't want any of your writing to read like a list. And that means we don't want your reading to say, the article talked about an important idea, period. The important idea was about productivity, period. The author said productivity is important, period. Productivity is important because it will help you accomplish your goals, period. This type of simple sentence structure over and over and over again, my grammar people, you know what I'm talking about. It feels like a list. It doesn't feel like real writing. If you hear that word flow in your writing, that's what we're talking about. The sentences don't flow together nicely. It just feels like boom, 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 boom. So that's what I'm talking about when I say sentence structure and using a variety in your sentence structure. And then I've got one more slide, and then I think my brain is done for the day. But okay, so that's paraphrasing, right? And again, we're going to get lots of practice with this semester. But what is summarizing? Now, again, I'm going to end with summarizing because hopefully you guys feel comfortable and confident and feel better about summarizing. But so summarizing review, when do you summarize? You summarize when you want to emphasize the main idea of the original text. Notice that this is different than all of the ideas for paraphrasing, right? You want to emphasize the main idea of the original text. You want to give a short overview, big picture of the original text. And you have not been asked to give your opinion or original ideas about the text. This is important, and you'll hear me say it many times. A summary does not include your opinion. So if you're practicing a summary paragraph, you're not going to say you're not going to write. You're not going to write I, you're not going to write we, you're not going to write in my opinion. Never. Summary is all about what the author said, right? If you're summarizing a story in this book, just summarizing, you just say at the beginning of the story, the character did this. Then the character had a moment where they understood that blah, 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 blah. You don't need to say, I loved this story. No, this story reminded me of my, nope, that is not a summary. That is not a summary. So that's some basic information about when you want to summarize. You want to summarize when you're emphasizing the main idea and you want to make things short. Now, how do we do this? How do we do this? So in paraphrasing, I said you need to understand every word of the text. To summarize, you need to make sure that you understand at least the main idea of the text. It is impossible to summarize something you don't understand. So this is where I say, again, on the second line here, Go back to your reading strategies. If you read, we're going to look at one of these articles next week, right? Here's an article. It's in Canvas too for live support materials. Article, The Power of Attention. This is the first thing we're going to practice before we start hyperfocus. If you read this article and you go, I don't know what that article was about, please, I beg you, do not even try to start writing a summary, because if you didn't understand what you read, it is impossible to write a summary of it, right? So again, make sure you understand at the very least the main ideas of the text you're summarizing. And if in doubt, use any and all of the reading strategies that we've talked about so that you do understand. Okay. How else do we do this? You focus on the main idea, keep it short. And when you focus on the main idea, that means you do not include specific details. You're only focused on the main idea. You also, much like in your paraphrase, this is something that students usually do like about this skill. You can mirror, you can follow the same structure of the original text. So many of your great questions about the narrative, right? Like, Jeff, like, what's the structure? Good news. When you're writing summaries and paraphrases, just use the same structure of the text that you're reading. Excuse me. You should also use an in-text citation at the beginning of your summary. So when you introduce the article or the book or whatever it is you're going to summarize, that's why we already practice in-text citations this semester. You'll say something like, my brain is shutting off. What's the author's name for the dress? Hold on, I'll look it up again. Well, I'll just turn to this page. Mourning My Birthplace. Sylvester is the last name, right? So you just say, Sylvester, page number, says, argues, and then your summary, right? You introduce the author at the beginning of your summary once, then you're done. You don't need to do it again. And then finally, you will use your own words in the summary, right? That's another part of how to summarize. Use your own words. You cite the author, but then you just put their ideas in your own words, right? So this is my basic introduction, right? This is where I'm sort of defining for you guys what summarizing and paraphrasing is. You're going to see these slides, this slide, and these two slides about when and how. I'm going to show it to you a lot because these are the rules, right? Now, like I said, for you very intelligent students, you could memorize these rules and that's fine. But the big challenge is, oh man, how do I do this? And that's what we start, right? That's what we are getting ready to start for the rest of this semester is I give you an article to read. You make sure that you understand the main ideas if it's a summary, and then you summarize those main ideas. If you're paraphrasing, now I'll be clear here too, in case you're getting worried. I'm not going to ask you to paraphrase a whole article or a chapter. That's insane, But I might ask you to paraphrase 2 or 3 sentences, right? Hey, look at this paragraph. This is a very important paragraph. Practice a paraphrase for this short section, right? So that's the type of work that we're going to be doing when we're talking about paraphrasing and summarizing this semester. So like I said, I've got another reading strategy that I'll introduce to you guys next week, because next week we're going to start here in Canvas, you can see, right? So for today's live support materials, I've got the PDF where you can get much more detailed information about summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. I've got the article that I was thinking maybe we would do tonight, but we'll do next week. That's fine. And next week, I will introduce reading strategies specifically to help you with articles like this, right? Because some of the reading strategies that you'll be doing for an online article or a nonfiction sort of academic book that you get assigned in college class, there's some specific reading strategies that you can use that will really help you understand the structure of those type of texts, right? So we'll start with this next week. Questions or ideas or anything Because what I'm thinking now, I think everybody worked very hard. And the essay was due today. Again, I was working with students in office hours on their essay today. So I know that the essay's done. How about this? I won't ask you to do anything new before next week, right? If you want to go fast, read this article, read this PDF, review some of the slides, but I won't post anything new in Canvas. And again, if you're behind, if you have some lessons to do, if you haven't done the discussion, if you haven't finished stuff, or a map is only one country, you can do that. But I won't post anything new in Canvas. And then next week, we'll really start with academic writing. We'll really start with paraphrasing and summarizing. And I will introduce hyperfocus, because next week, I will give you the first, the first reading assignment for hyperfocus after I introduce the book to you. Questions?
Thank you so much, Professor. I think it's a really good information today, get it, but we need a little bit more from next week. But as you mentioned, if we can find the time and read this and we focus on this one, but if somebody behind about, the assignments, it's a golden chance. We have a 1 week. And I think that's it for today, Professor. You're tired. It looks, of course, it's a lot of explanation, Professor. It's not easy. Like it's something new that we are started again.
Too much time. And you guys know I'm like, I try to give you guys lots of energy. I know it's hard for you guys to stay focused too. I got to be like a YouTube star out here. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm alone. Yes. I'm alone in this room, but I'm like acting crazy and jumping.
Thank you so much, Professor. I really appreciate it. Otherwise, it's it's time of fall. After that, the winter start. The nights are longer, so it's like the time is more longer. So I really appreciate it, Professor. Thank you so much. And yes, we just now working and paraphrasing and summarizing. Let's hope for the best what will happen. But for today, I think for everyone is enough.
Everyone. Well, I'm glad I'll let Shamla speak for herself. Anybody, if Shamla, if you're good, you're good. If anybody does have questions, I'm here. Tell me. Fawad, I saw you unmute yourself. Any questions you have?
No, thank you so much. This information was so useful. We're gonna read it, and thank you so much for your hard teaching and doing your best for the students. I really appreciate, and I know you kind of feel as a human being, it's hard to teach like so many classes, be engaged from the morning till evening. And I want you a good night and a good break.
I appreciate
Yes, Professor. You have to take some rest, please. Yeah, Professor, you need it because it's not easy. A lot of explanation, a lot of answers to the question, everything.
You guys are
Thank you so much.
No, you're all very welcome. You're all very welcome. I'm going to stop recording, but after that, I'll say goodbye and answer any questions you guys have. So I'll see you next